Today, the topic is going to be on follow up and systems, and really sort of opening it up to the community as a whole to sort of share what are you doing? What does it look like? I mean, it could be as simple as a notebook. It could be as sophisticated as some of the stuff that we're doing with like the Zapier integrations and connections and things. But really, it's going to be kind of like a show and tell type day. So it's like, what are you guys doing? How does it look like? What's your follow-up look like? And what's working for you? And how are you staying on top of follow-up? And so let's kick it off. Who's got a good, cool story that they want to share here in the Insider Group?
I'll give a quick one since I already have stuff up. When you say the follow-up, I had someone in the system like a year or two ago, and just doing the follow-up. Ever since we started integrating HomeBot, we go in, if there's morning activity, we get it, and then responding to them, and as they reply back, we go from there. I got a guy that been in the system from a couple of years ago, and he reached back out just wanting to know about the home value and stuff like that, and I hit him something, I sent him something, he got back to me, wanted to put this house in, got it listed 2 years or something like that for the time he's been in the system. And he went to escrow 2 weeks ago. He closes on the 17th or 15th of next month. And the guy turned around and gave me a referral for another guy. So I wound up getting 2 listings from this guy. I got a business opportunity listing, which I'll get 2 deals out of because he doesn't own the building, but I'm negotiating with the seller to do an owner contract for a guy buying this. So there's 2 deals that. And then I got a referral on both of these guys, because one's going to Missouri, one's going to Arizona. So when they say it's in the follow-up, it really is, because the one deal that sat there for 2 years, I'm winding up with 3 deals, and then on top of that, I'll get 2 referrals. So it's, like I say, it's all in the follow-up.
It's an awesome win.
Thanks for the share. Hey, Michael, I'm calling on you because I know you had a fun share. Tell me about the lead that you interacted with the other day.
Okay, that was when I was on my trial period, and the first week, the first night, I have quite a few hits there, and I like to do a lot of follow-up. I try to investigate the phone numbers and the tax records, and finally get rid of, I got actually hold of this homeowner, and she said she in fact is looking to get, to sell their condo and to really get rid of the condo. She wants to know the value. She said that she used to be a broker before. She's already retired, but she just want to get rid of that place. So I set up an appointment immediately with her, and I said, okay, we can get the report, and I'm going directly and seeing you. So the next day I went, and she signed the listing agreement already. So ready to go. So it is on the follow-up, and also you got to do a little homework on it. Sometimes you don't get the phone number and you don't get the email, but there is ways to get it. Very easy. Sometimes when I call, they say, how did you get this? 2020, hello.
So that's great. I want to start there because a lot of people stop. And Michael, how do you go get this information? Like if you do have an address only or an address plus email, what is your procedure to get that phone number? And then what is the script that you kind of use to get the conversation started?
Oh, well, I go on, online just to get phone numbers and reverse addresses. There's a couple of websites that you can go and get it. I can share it to you. I'm trying to look right now, but they are online. You can check and you can find the names and phone numbers. This particular one that I telling you, let me see, I'm looking here. They call him 100% free, the True People Search. TruePeopleSearch.com.
I'm just put that there, TruePeopleSearch.com.
Right, and you can find names and phones and addresses there.
Leon actually just posted that in the chat too.
Okay.
That's awesome. That's perfect.
All right. So and of course, if you want to know, the name is correct and all that, I go to the MLS and I go to the tax record and be sure that's the right person, and if they actually live at the property, or she might live in another property. In this case, she was not living at the property. The property is vacant. So through the tax records, I found out the real address. So that's what I went to get assigned. So so when I called her, I just told her, you request this on on Facebook. So saying the word Facebook is better than saying my company, Century 21, because Facebook, they give me a little more respect. They say, oh yeah, I was there. So when I talked to them and I said, I see that you want to, get the value on your property. And then she told me, yes. May I ask you why? Do you want to refinance? You want to maybe sell now or maybe next year? And she said, no, I want to get rid of the property now. That was the answer that I was looking for. So here we go. And I said, well, I'm there. So that's the only thing. It's just asking direct questions. Some people will deny it. They say, I never request this. And I say, well, that's weird. But they always, people, they say, I never request this, but they did. But they just were curious. What I'm doing with them, I just follow up. I just mail them something. And I'm going to, I don't know, I guess you got to follow a system, right?
That's right. And you know what? One of the cool things I think you can do when you talk to somebody is start off by saying, hey, you probably are just randomly scrolling on Facebook. You came across this ad. You thought it would be an automated home value. I'm here to tell you, I'm here to get to work on it. I don't internet's best guess is going to be inaccurate. Can I ask you a few quick questions? Okay. Right. Ira, you were saying, what was a good script that you were using this morning? Because I'm curious, and I'm going to actually run a quick poll for everybody here. When a lead comes in with a phone number, do you pick up the phone and call? Just simple as that. Yes or no? I want to know. And let's have a conversation about this, because a lot of you are just like, oh, I'm going to let Julie do her thing. That's fine. But what about just simply picking up the phone and making the call, and let's discuss what you should say? Because I think that's a big opportunity, that speed to lead side. Remember, this is an important piece of that. And of course, you can point back to what they saw, but always just when you pick up the phone, I think the best thing you do is kind of put yourself in their shoes and have a conversation about that.
I'm gonna throw something, Marcus, on that though. When you say speed to lead, the whole MLS thing, what Michael said is perfect. But when I go into I say you have that already. If you're in the MLS, not only do you need to look at tax data, look and see if the house is prior listed. Because for some people that said they're getting address only or they're getting like no numbers, if they're prior listed in there, a lot of times you'll get their phone numbers and stuff as well. So there's a wealth of data probably already in MLS. And when you call them this way, if you have something pulled up in front of you, you only have that small window of opportunity. So if I'm calling you now, I want to be able to let them know I am the expert on that house. I might never been in your neighborhood before, but you'll never know it because I'm going to be spouting stuff about your home, the neighborhood, and all that, with it in front of me. So sometimes, that couple extra minutes, you're trying to get them before 5 minutes, but look and make sure you have information, because there's nothing worse than calling somebody and looking stupid. They'll be like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. And once they blow you off, you're not going to get them back.
I like that. I'll leave it open for a little bit longer. Absolutely. I mean, I would do some research before I simply made the call. I would obviously go to that lead information, see what they put in there so you can talk about that conversation. If they put details or lack of details, I might do a quick search on that person myself. And then just like, Michael was talking about and doing some quick research, come prepared, ready to talk about the neighborhood, ready to talk about the area. But when you're ready, I would say always start off with a great conversation about how they found you. And I also think for some of you guys, just telling them, hey, it could be a potential renter or a buyer looking at your address, but I always try to talk to the homeowner first. I think that's a good way to kind of get their guard down.
I think what Michael said was really important too, is he put the timeline in their hands. That's the key, is when you call them, you need to ask them where they're at with things. So they left you a phone number. So what does a phone number mean? If they left you a phone number with a contact, it means that they're pretty motivated and they're half expecting a call. People don't just leave their phone number and think that nobody's going to actually reach out to it. They know what they're kind of signing up for. And to me, what that says about the person, it says they might have like higher motivations. There might be something that they need. There might be something more timely. They might be more ready. So call that out when you call them. So just call them and say, hey, you filled out an ad on Facebook looking for your property evaluation. I noticed you left a number. And in my experience, most people that leave a number might have some time-sensitive issues with their request. So I'm just calling as a courtesy to see where you're at with things and whether you have some time-sensitive issues right now, and whether I can help you deal with things timely, or whether you're just curious and you want the answers quickly. You left a number, so I'm calling you. So call it out. If they left a number, they're pretty motivated. I mean, I always joke that when people are going through that kind of landing page thing, the question they're asking themselves is, am I submitting my number to like Leon's like scamming hacker guy that's gonna hack my accounts? Like, is this a Nigerian prince, or is this like a real actual thing? So if someone went all the way through and put their number in, their motivation is pretty high and they are half expecting you to call them. So call them and then put the timing in their hands, okay? And some of you have come from different backgrounds where 100 other agents have gotten the number, and it's that whole speed to lead thing. This is different, so you have to kind of reframe your mindset. It's all about discovery. It's all about service. It's all about introduction and relationships. So make sure when you call them, you have that in the back of your mind. There aren't 100 other agents calling them. They came through a Facebook ad. So acknowledge Facebook and then ask them, just say, hey, is this timely? Because if it's timely, I'd love to help you in a timely manner and get some of the probably anxieties off your chest and get moving with it. If not, I still want to help you in a timely manner and just know where you're at with things so I can address your needs.
I always understand this, that if they give you the phone number, it's for a reason, okay? They give you their car or their phone number. Hey, they give you for a reason. Take advantage of it.
Absolutely. Now I'm curious because the polls showed that almost 50% of you don't pick up the phone. So for those that don't pick up the phone, I'd love to hear why. And obviously for those that are picking up the phone, I'd love to hear what you have to say and what's working and maybe what's not working so we can help you with that as well.
So Marcus, I call right away. And this is Pierre, by the way. So I use the same type of approach as when I do an expired, when I get a call. I have a dual monitor. So I'll pull up the tax record. I'll pull up the MLS in that area so I can speak specifically about the opportunity. And so one of the ways that I approach it when they give the phone number, say, listen, I was just checking your level of urgency to sell or just get a valuation because I noticed 3 or 4 homes sold in the area. Is there, something going on in the area that, people are taking advantage of their equity? And, and I rattle off the addresses because I see it on there. And then if their house was previously listed, I'll be like, it looks like you had previously remodeled your home. The kitchen looks really nice. And they're like, how do you know about that house? I go, well, I might have walked through it when it was listed last year or whatnot.
I like that. That's good. And how does that work for you?
It's always worked for me, and, because the script I used for expireds was not to list the home. I would say, hey, I noticed that your house didn't sell. I've got an appointment in the neighborhood, is there something wrong? Is there something going on in the neighborhood that caused your house not to sell because your house looks really great? So anytime I get on the phone, the goal is just to get the conversation going. I want to get them speaking because if I can get them comfortable to speak, then the doors will open up. If I'm just peppering them with questions right off the bat, it's going to be a pretty short conversation. They've got to understand that this call is to evaluate their needs and let them speak about their needs.
Awesome. How about anybody else want to share on that? Whether you're picking up the phone, what has that conversation's been like for you, or why you're not picking up the phone?
I don't call.
What's that?
I don't call. I like the system that we have, and I want them to see everything before I call them.
Okay.
So,
cool.
So I do my video CMA. I send it out if there is a number. I text them to let them know it's coming, and then once it's sent and I see that they see it, then I call them to talk to them about it. I'd rather have them see it first. And I was under the impression it's kind of like Wailopo. Isn't it automatically programmed in there, and then they just click submit, like it auto populates? And sometimes those are not the right number. Do you guys get that a lot?
Well, that's
because it pulls it from Facebook, and sometimes they have a phony, phone number in there.
That happens. That's it depends on the funnel you're running, right? With the lead ad that auto populates, with the lead capture, the dynamic lead capture, I think you have to manually put it in as far as I'm concerned, right? Because it's a address, email, they have to click on the little box, permission to be contacted, information about their home, time frame for selling, which is the third part of that funnel, and then the name and phone number if you get to that. That's if we're talking about the seller funnel, right?
Right, the home valuation one.
Yes.
Yes.
So in that case, it's not going to be an auto population.
Gotcha.
it'd be manual. So so this is a good conversation, because you're going to see results coming from both sides depending on what your personal follow-up is like. But obviously it begins with the automation side. So the person that picks up the phone really quickly may have that advantage if they're not utilizing, let's just say, BombBomb in their automation, and they're not doing video CMAs.
Right. And I got one the other day that the funnel was working. And I don't know, we were into it over a month, and he's like, I don't even know why you're sending me stuff, but I appreciate you. And we're not moving, but we do have another townhouse we're selling. So would you like to meet there and, you know, send me some information on that? So, I mean, even though it wasn't, you know, what I was striving so hard to get with all of our follow-ups on their home they live in, it still wasn't a no. So that's a win. I like the follow-up system.
That's a big win.
You know, Marcus, a lot of the agents that I've worked with before that, you know, just want to take that slower approach on the phone call. What you can do if you don't really want to be speed to call and jump on the phone right away, one of the things I would suggest is give it, you know, let a couple of pieces of your automation go in, and then pick up the phone and call and say, listen, I just want to make sure that I'm sending the information to the right person to make sure I've got right things. So you're just touching base, and it's a softer, warmer call. And then you're going to find out if that number is real or not. And then you can move on from that lead. And then either remove the phone number or whatnot. But if they go, oh yeah, I did get it, and say, fantastic. Usually a lot of my clients have some questions. Is there anything I can answer for you? And again, the goal is to get them to speak rather than trying to sell them, because you're not selling them yet. You can't have them sign the contract over the phone. It's just not going to happen. You got to build that trust-like relationship, right? So that warm call, if you don't want to make the call right away, let a couple pieces of the text and emails go out, and then call to confirm that they got it. That might be good.
Something to remember though.
I have a quick question. So when they're filling out the their information, can it look at to see if the email is correct or not, or the phone number is correct or not? I know sometimes some of those forms that it'll say, oh, incorrect email or incorrect, because I'm finding that I'm getting a lot of bogus numbers and some fake email addresses.
Well, your autoresponder will tell you if it's verified. So if you go to your emails part of the section,
yeah,
it'll show you if it's bounced or if it's a verified email. So that's the case. But no, you can't go in there and
it doesn't do it automatically when they're putting it in. Like
it's manually being put in. So as long as they click next and click on a little box that says permission to be contacted, boom. And I think
one thing our system does do, I should add on this as well, is that it actually connects to the server for the email address while the person's typing it in, and it verifies that it can get a email server response. So that's as close as it gets to basically sending an email. And then of course it does try to send an email, and we can see whether or not it really made it through. So we don't know if that email address exists or not, but what we are doing is we're checking to make sure that the server exists for the email address. Now, sometimes people are still putting in fake emails, or they have an email address that they use just for whenever they do an online form. So we can't really get around that, but I'm sure we can do some, a few more things on the email verification side, but that does get an improvement. So the box will actually turn a color if a person tries to put one in and it tries to get to the server and it doesn't work, and then they have to re-enter another email address at that point. So it does have a layer there. But you could always do a little bit more as well.
So what I'm doing now, if I send something and it gets kicked back right now, I'm just hunting them down on Facebook. Like I'm doing one right now as where I'm listening to you guys. So if they want the report, this is who I am. So please give me their correct information. So they know that.
Do a double opt-in on the registration. Hey, confirm your email and download your report type stuff. That might be an okay thing too. I have a quick question. What are you guys doing with addresses only? Anybody knocking on the doors? But I mean, obviously we can't right now with COVID, but anybody door knocking when you get an address only?
I'm actually in the process of doing something, and if anybody's ever done this before, let me know. I'm sending in a separate email address that with a card that it's basically it's a property evaluation certificate, and I'm going to put a little sticky send this in, and it's a prepaid like business, you know, like the no postage necessary. And I'm just sending them a letter who I am, and if they want their home evaluation report, they have to send this in, and they'll get a free cup of coffee if they do.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I'm sending handwritten letters directly to the addresses only, and asking and letting them know that, you know, they requested a home valuation and I got it in my possession. I can either drop it off or they can go on to me and I'll be happy to email it to them. But I was just wondering if anybody is different, because it's obviously nobody wants to the door right now.
You might have permission to do.
Yeah, Pierre, I do the same thing. I actually do a handwritten note and I explain to them that I see that you started the process of doing a home evaluation through Facebook, that you stopped in the process of that. I am a real person. I'm an agent in the Triangle area. If you're still wanting this evaluation, please just follow up with an email and I'll be glad to send it to you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I just want to share, and I waved this earlier, my workflow, I call about 50% of the time, so I'm kind of on both sides of the fence. Both sides have been successful. If I recognize the address to be over the median price point, I try and do what Pierre is doing. I sit in front of my monitor set up and heavily prepare for it, because again, sometimes you only got one shot. But I'm the king of video text messages. So video text message, my Calendly link underneath. It's all about just hitting them from every direction possible. So when I do call and I do get the lead, I hit them, I call them twice. I call, let it ring 3 times, and then I hang up. Count to 30. Call again. It's called hammer dialing, because the thing is, if somebody's screening their calls and they're not picking up calls they don't have as contacts in their phone, when you call a second time, first thing in their brain is trigger that it could be an emergency. So I do that, and then as soon as I don't, I follow up with the introduction, and if the bubble is blue, I send my contact information from my iPhone, and if it's green, they have an Android or another carrier, I take a screenshot of my professional profile on my contact on my iPhone, and then send it to them and say, whenever you're available, you're free. Then I wait 24 to 48 hours, and then I send them a video text. So they don't see me. They don't know me the first day or two, but by the 3rd day, they got that video text like this gentleman right here did. This guy is very hard to get a hold of, but every time I send a video text, it triggers a response.
George, you're doing that through BombBomb, right?
No, video text right through iOS. As long as you are sending to another iOS device, especially when you're on cellular, you're capped at 60 seconds. Well, I shouldn't say capped. You can go longer, but it doesn't work as well frequency-wise. And you're really just not trying to hold a one-way conversation. You're trying to make it small, to the point, do your elevator pitch. And then if it's an Android, you only got 30 seconds, because if you do more than that, most Android phones will reduce the video rate to 480p, which your screen is big.
Marcus.
Yes.
I really think, like I said, when you call or when you get the information and you get the phone numbers, you got to be sure that you are ready to handle all the objections, you know, because, you know, sometimes you call and people are trying to deny. Sometimes they're saying, well, if I need to get the value, I can get it in, you know, in Zillow, or I can do it this. And, you know, they know why they're doing this. They want to stay away. So you need to have to be sure that you are prepared to, you know, handle any objections to get what you want. Because, of course, they want to try to deny that they're asking for the value or whatever, but you need to be ready there to be sure you help them. One of the things is when you run the CMA, be sure you get very familiar with the addresses, and if it is in the complex or it is a condo or whatever, because they like to deal with people that are experts in the area. So when you call back and you tell them about this address or the other address, they're going to start thinking, oh, this guy knows about this area here. It's not just only a number that you send them. Oh, the MLS is saying that your property is worth 500. You start talking about addresses, and they love that. They love to deal with somebody who knows the area.
Well said, Michael. That's great advice.
Michael, one of the things I'll tell you, so this is just to share with the group. Listen, that's the psychology of sales. You could be going to the store to pick up a new jacket or a new suit or a new dress or whatever else, and as soon as a salesperson comes to you and says, hi, can I help you? The immediate response is, no, I'm just looking, right? That's a defense mechanism from any customer, because they're just not prepared to speak with you at the time because they weren't expecting your call or you to approach them, right? So all of this goes back to scripts and understanding your scripts, guys, is knowing what's the opening line. So it's a little bit different than what they're already expecting and what they already have an answer to. So instead of saying, hi, you know, for example, you had reached out about a home valuation request and said, no, I didn't. You know, I was contacting the top priority clients that were requesting some of the home valuations. I sent out some information. I just wanted to make sure you got it. And if not, I'd like to verify your email address, so that they already know that you have information on them. Breaks up that conversation in a different manner, so the immediate response isn't no, I'm not, or no, I can't. It's just about tweaking a couple of words, and that's really working on your scripts, guys, and knowing how you want to say, because you've got 8 seconds, right, on the phone call. You've got 8 seconds because they're already assuming you're a telemarketer. They already assume you're from Nigeria. You're trying to collect their tax, whatever it is, right? You're a telemarketer. They weren't really ready for it. They put the number in 50-50. Sometimes they take the call in. Sometimes they're like, oh, it was just, they put in a number because they thought they have to do that because they're going to get an instant response online. So I would say, like Michael was saying, you're absolutely right. But I would also add that, work on your scripts, like understand what your opening line is, and make sure that it's repetitive and it's constant, so it flows and you don't end up with an That's probably the biggest suggestion I can tell you on the phone calls.
What is your opening line there, Pierre?
So if it's a seller, guys, I'm still in my trial period with you guys, so we're still tweaking my ads and doing stuff. But I call up right away and say, I received a request from so-and-so at this address. I just want to verify I've got the right person on the phone. And I start with that, because if they say, oh, no, I didn't, because sometimes the husband will do it and the wife doesn't know and the wife answers because they left the home number or whatever, or someone's messing around with it. Like I said, I've got 6 email addresses. 2 of them are for junk emails anyway, right? I never even open those. So I start off with who I am. I introduce myself right away. Hi, my name is Pierre Pernjet. I'm EXP Realty. Thanks for your time this morning. I was just calling to verify that you requested a property valuation for this property. Do I have the right person on the phone? And if they say, no, that's not me, and I say, fantastic, just so I can make sure I remove all the information, is this your email address by chance? So I can make sure that someone didn't put in a bogus phone number for you, as well as a bogus email address for you. And all of a sudden they're like, okay, the conversation is about them, and I want to make sure that they're not going to continue being called if that's not them, or give them the opportunity. So I never want to put a customer in a situation to where I push them to the corner so much that I already know that I'm right, that they're too embarrassed to say now that to get the information, right? I always leave the door open for them, say, listen, I understand that we get bad information all the time. Is this your email address as well? Or did someone put in your email address? No, that's not my email. That's just my phone number, and it's not me. I didn't request it. Okay, fantastic, right? But if it is, oh yeah, that is my email address. Okay, is it possible that somebody in the family might be requesting? Have you guys been thinking about, or have you guys been curious about the price of your home, the value of your home, right? And if it's just curiosity, we're here to help you in any capacity we can. There's no obligation. So I'm happy to give you anything you're looking for. What is it that you were looking for your home, or who in your household was maybe looking for the valuation of the home? And are you guys trying to get divorced? Does your wife talk? No, I'm just kidding. Does your wife want to know what the house is worth because she's leaving? I'm just kidding. But either way, so that's basically my line, guys. And it's within the script, but it tweaks every now and then because of the tone that I get on the phone, how the person is responding to me. I match tonality a lot, and I work with that. So I've been doing that for years, and it works for me. And it just depends on how the conversation goes. And if I've got to change lanes, I change lanes, but I do it with their responses right away.
Oh, that's awesome, Pierre. So Darlene, you mentioned something else, that you do a door drop with a gift and CMA and mailer. Like, what's the gift that you're dropping off there, and how hard is that to put together?
I have bags, little tote bags that I've already made, and it's just like candy or something. My assistant was handling it, so we put together a really nice CMA for the ones that we thought were top sellers, ones that were worth reaching out to personally. Put that into the nice tote bag. They're really cute. People love them. Put some other information about our listing services and all the services at our offices, a little brochure. And then he's going to he always puts like candy or cookies or something. I don't know what he put in. And then he goes and door drops. and door knocks. So I haven't had the follow-up meeting with him yet. He just did it this last Saturday, I believe. So I haven't sat with him to find out what happened. He said it was interesting. So I'm interested to find out how it went, but we're going to continue with that with our address onlys.
That's great. I think that'll definitely pan out well. But it's going to require that follow-up step because I think that's going to create an incredible first impression for those address onlys. And now the follow-up step will be where probably a lot of more conversations will come out of it.
Right. I also sent everyone, regardless of how attractive their home was to me as a listing agent, everybody address only got a postcard.
That's good. That's really, really good. Who else is no, I saw there was some postcard mailers. George Simmons, you were mentioning you did that as well. Do you want to share what you're sending, or Mavis? Sorry, I saw a hand raised there as well.
Anybody else willing to share? Because we can move into we can move into phone numbers, we can move into scripts, or the emails themselves. Like, there are so many ways to talk or engage a lead, obviously on Facebook as well. So you have so many angles to take, and just thinking about how you can reach all angles. And I like what you were saying, George, is like you're going to get them at all angles. You're going to look to get them all. Because as long as you're leading with value and you're genuinely looking to connect and serve them great information, you never know which one they connect with, but you're doing it from and so that's why I'm such a big fan of the video email, follow up, the Facebook Messenger side, picking up, making the call. Everything can work together synergistically if you think about the first impression on the personal side and then continuing to follow.
Marcus, I think the situation is when they give you the address only and you do your homework and you find out their phone number somehow and all the researches, and you call them back, they get really surprised because they know they didn't give you the phone number. So sometimes you need to be prepared for that, because I understand they don't give you the number for a reason too, so you need to be sure you're careful. It's okay to do the postcard, but I'm still calling them,
Michael, and I would, and if that approach in making the call, again, I would just say, hey, I received your address on Facebook for a complimentary home evaluation. Now, sometimes looking at your home to buy it, maybe interesting, but I just want to talk to the homeowner. If this was, let's have a quick conversation. If not, have a good day.
I think everybody should definitely try and look at all the alternative systems out there. So what you just made the point that somebody is potentially not prepared for you to call, put the ball in their court and leave it in their court. So instead of calling them and putting them on the spot, because Gary Vaynerchuk said something about 2 years ago and it sat with me and it triggered me. He basically said that calling is now the disrespectful thing to do. Why? You're demanding your time on their time. So they're not prepared for you. Where if you text or you leave them a message, email, bomb, whatever. So what I've been doing and utilizing, which has been working pretty good, is slide dial. So you slide into their voicemails without putting them on the spot. So you're leaving that other avenue, that other door open. And if you don't get a response in 48, 72 hours, try another door. Logan, I love your comment. Whenever a door closes, there's always a window, And again, I always try and think outside the box, because there's people that rather have text only. There's a guy that I actually closed his transaction. I did not physically hear his voice in person or on phone for 3.5 weeks. Do you know how crazy and awkward that is? But then that's telltale signs of the barrier until you build a rapport and or until they're ready for that next step. So I always tell everybody, even if they say no, I still put them in the drips. I still put them on HomeBot, because the worst thing is I'm going to watch them on HomeBot, the stalker that I am, and Tracy. I have one person that has made 119 engagements in 90 days between HomeBot and the StreetText automations. Do I think I'm going to get that listing? Yes. Is that person ready to sell? No, I've already spoke to him 3 different occasions. He said, we're looking to sell in the future, just not now. No problem. But I call and touch him every 30 days. I'm not hounding him. I'm not burning the lead. You don't want to burn the leads. That's the biggest thing. Agents make the mistake and they go in for the kiss without even going on the date.
George, just to clarify what you're saying right now, sometimes when I looking for the phone number, you know, like in a particular property, this homeowner was somewhere in another state, okay? I wasn't sure. I have about selection about 4 or 5 numbers there. The reason I need to know who it is, because I try all the 5 numbers and I'm trying to find out which one is the right one. That's why I don't text them right away, because I don't know which one is the correct one. Finally,
yeah, but they'll be the first person to tell you you have the wrong number also.
Right, right. So finally, I find out when I called the 5th number, that was the guy. And I said, yeah, it's me. And the guy was from another state. Then now I know I have the physical number. I didn't want to bother him, but at least I have something to start texting now.
So Michael,
So the worst thing,
sorry.
oh, go ahead.
So one of the things that I do in my drips on everything, guys, I think it's my 2nd or the 3rd text message that goes out. It just says, hi, is this first name? And that's the number 1 thing. And all of a sudden it's like, yeah, who's this? And then I speak, right? So I've done that a ton of times. So if you're going to have 5 numbers, I text those 5 numbers that message.
So I actually do the opposite here, and I was just going to say what I do. So
Awesome.
Every time I've done that, automatically they think I'm a salesperson or a telemarketer. I've talked to salespeople and I tell them I don't like salespeople, but I am one.
Right.
So what I do is, instead of always asking a question that's easy for them to lie about and say, is this John Doe, ? I go, hey, John Doe, how's your day going? Because then all of a sudden they're going to say, this isn't John Doe. Or they automatically assume that maybe it's a friend or a contact that has a different phone number. So then they acquire.
That's a great approach.
Yeah. I mean, that's been serving me for the last 18 months so much better, because I'm Mike Ferry trained, Tom Ferry trained, Craig Proctor trained. I've been trained by all of them.
Dude, you just gave me you just got my wheel spinning, because now the text is going to be, hey, John, are we still on for 1 o'clock today? Boom. That's perfect. That's perfect. I love it. I love that.
I think that's really good. I think the other thing to think about as well is look at when you look at a home, if you get someone's looking for a value, how long has the person been in that home, and judge their, when you do your research, if you look up on Facebook, how old are they? What generation are they in? Are they going to be expecting a text message first? Maybe they're in a generation they actually prefer, it's actually more polite to receive a phone call. So I think that's a really good point. Like, obviously Gary Vee, he's in a generation, or he's in a mindset where he's probably in a different generation where he's like, text me. Also, he's
millennials,
busy. So he thinks in emails work. Most people aren't going to be where Gary is. I remember Simon Sinek, he's interesting thought, but like, if you have a relationship with a contact, lead, and you're kind of texting for a little while, or you're having some emails back and forth, and they say something that's a bit confusing, Simon actually recommended just pick up the phone and talk to them, because people are always looking for connectivity, but at that point in the relationship, that's where it's really useful time to pick up the phone, because now you're building a relationship. So it's, so for people who, I think that's kind of like what Wendy's approach is too. Like, you're sort of, let's start with like a warmer approach and then pick up the phone. But I think as well, what Pierre, Michael, George, like the way you're approaching it is powerful too, because you're putting it in context and you're being empathetic to the needs of the person you're speaking to. And I think that makes the person feel really empowered on the other end. So that's powerful. Another question was it Chad? Someone asked about the CMA. Is it better to do a broad range or a specific value, or no range at all, or no value? You want to, anytime you're in communication, anytime you send content to someone, you want it to be a way to create a conversation. So you want to leave room for either a question or clarification or more information. So that's where a range is really powerful. You are providing value without being an exact number that doesn't leave room for further conversation. So a lot of times people will they'll send an amazing, like they put so much work into a CMA, and it's precise. if you're there and you're having a conversation with the person, you can walk them through step by step by step by step. That's a great experience for the person, because then they have conversation in that moment. If you're not there and they get this very beautiful detailed CMA, well, guess what? All of their perceived questions have now been answered, and they don't have a need to have another conversation with you. If you intentionally provide enough information to spark curiosity, but don't answer every single question, well, now they have a reason to follow up with you and be like, hey, what about this? Or what about that? Or, you know, I love the one that you said, Pierre, which is like, you know, I saw you listed your home last year. Is there a reason why it didn't sell? Was it something in the neighborhood that could have affected that? It's not their fault. It's something else. And I think that's a really brilliant way. And if you can craft your CMA ranges where you maybe bring in a couple pieces that instantly spark the brain to start thinking, oh, I should talk to them about this. I should talk to you about this. I should, you know, send a text message or an email or pick up the phone. And that's what I started thinking with Darlene as well. Like what you're doing there with the address onlys, really powerful strategy. What's that next follow-up piece that's going to ensure that those conversations are turned, or even maybe just giving them a clear, phone call. Maybe just giving them a follow-up call.
Hey, Jonathan.
What is your best way to find the expired leads phone numbers, you know, without, you know, I don't know of a way to do that.
Spokio.
Spokio?
Yeah, go to Spokio. It's 99 cents. You can do a full background. It pulls up everybody's name and address identified to that property. It's pulled up phone numbers on some clients going back like 12, 15 years to previous addresses. Spokio is probably the most accurate thing that I found. And you can either do a membership or you can buy them at 99 cents a piece or something like that. I also just put a link in the chat box, guys, to a mailer. It's a pop-up card that has a map of their area or a heart or everything else. That's a great, now they're expensive. They're about $4 or $5 a piece, but they're fantastic because they get the homeowner's attention. But Jonathan, one of the things I was going to comment on, Simon Sinek has a great TED Talk about the decision-making process from the consumer side of things, and how the mind and the heart, you know, the two parts of the brain have to be connected, you know. If you guys ever have a moment, YouTube that. It's the, I forget the title of it, but if I look it up, I'll put it in the chat box. But he's got a great one, because there's oftentimes they're like, well, everything you tell me sounds good, but it just doesn't feel right. And that's just because the left and the right side of the brain are not talking to each other, because you haven't connected on an emotional level with them. So that's what he gets, you know, it's just tell them, work from the inside out is basically what he teaches.
Hey, Jonathan, this is Michael. In regards to when we prepare the CMA, we understand that sometimes the clients don't understand the language of the realtors. We talk CMA, we talk impending actives. They don't understand very well how we do it every day. So when you get the CMA generated by the MLS, what I do, I get the generation and you get it saved as a PDF. But what I do then, I have a program so I can write on the PDF, and you can make over there the comment or an interpretation. When you're talking about a range or whatever, you have a blank space underneath the last number, and you can tell them in detail. Because if you just send them the MLS from the CMA from the MLS, sometimes it's confusing. They don't. You think that they know what they're reading? It's like they don't know what they're reading. So I go ahead and write something up on the bottom of the, in the PDF, and that way it's a little more personal.
That's awesome. And Marcus is really like a pro on this element too, which is like, how do you add that, the mind and the heart? How do you add that humanization process? And I think like even as you're commenting that, can you show us, do you have an example of a PDF? Maybe, I mean, you can pull one up later. I really like that idea, or even having at the end, sort of like maybe putting another line, like your value may actually be different than this, fill in the blank, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like, let's have a conversation about that. And I know, Wendy, with your approach, you basically do that too, don't you? Like you start with sort of a range and then you go on and then you say, okay, let's connect. Maybe you could jump in and share a little bit what you're doing and how that works.
Yeah, so I basically just, I have Redfin, Zillow, and Realtor pulled up on my screen, and then my CMA from the MLS. And then I just basically show the client, what they're seeing online, and it's usually all over the place. So, I mean, it's just showing them that they need us because online values are all over the place and sometimes it can get confusing. And then I say, but I like to dive right into the MLS and look at similar square footage, also 3-bedroom, 2-bath, no pool, single story in your neighborhood. And they're coming in from this to this. But to get a true value of your home, I would actually have to see your home. So, and then my calendar links below, blah, 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 blah. So.
And Wendy, for anybody that might be confused on how you're sharing or presenting that, what are you doing to show that?
Yeah, I'm using BombBomb because then my little picture's in the top corner and it's me talking. And I think that's easier to explain things than writing, writing something on everything. Because when you're doing 50 million of these, I think I've hit 750 videos since I started StreetText, so yay. But yeah, I don't have time to sit there and write on everything. I have time to pull it up, and I have someone that posts my comps, and I go through it with them and send it, and then just track and make sure they open it.
So are you doing that right away, or are you waiting for a response before you do that whole video?
Yeah, so basically, the first thing that happens is if there's a phone number, they get a text and they get an email from StreetText funnel. And the email that they get, the initial email, is me introducing myself, thanking them for, clicking on my link, blah, 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 telling them I'm going to Facebook friend request them because I want them to get to know me. And then tell them that I'll be sending over, their video CMA ASAP. So then I have a system to where it goes out in the next couple days, because then on day 4 there's another video that goes out saying, just want to make sure you got your home value and see if you have any questions and stuff like that. So there's a little system there, and then we have another video that goes out about the setting them up on HomeBot, and then HomeBot gets set up on day 7. So they're getting something like all the time, but like I said, I'd rather have them see all this and then talk to them instead of try to explain it over the phone.
Gotcha. So the video that you're sending, is it like an evergreen? Is it a stock video that you're sending them on the?
No, it's completely custom to their home.
Okay.
I'm pulling up their address on all those websites.
Right.
And I'll post one in the link or in the chat.
So Pierre and Wendy, this is the screen recording side of BombBomb. So when you're at creating a connection with somebody, the best thing you can do is personally reach out to them, right? Because it is that likable model, know, like, trust. And so when you start with an image of their home using the screen recording we pulled through Google or Bing, and you've got their attention because it's featured on their home as they open up that email. You've got their name in the subject line. You've got their address in the subject line. You're addressing that home value. And then what Wendy is doing is she's got multiple tabs open as she's creating the experience she wants them to have, where she's talking about Realtor, she's talking about Trulia, she's talking about Zillow, about the MLS. And she's saying, hey, if you click on this link below, you and I can connect. So it's so personal, right? And it's experience that most people have never seen before, or a technology you've never seen before. So you want to blow someone's mind, you want to absolutely leverage a technology that can do that. And then the messenger side of it, the Facebook side, the connection, that's all about creating that model full circle. So if you combine that with the element that you're doing so well, which is just picking up the phone and use those type of technologies, it's going to be incredible amount of opportunities that arise out of it.
Marcos, really, like I said, what actually Jonathan said before, it's important that before you just throw in the MLS CMAs to them, find out, first of all, if you can communicate with them first, what is the reason they're asking for this? You can ask them, do you want a value for refinancing, or do you want a value for a purchase? Sometimes they're different. So you can connect and, you can start finding out why they're asking for this. Because, if you throw a CMA,
Statements Realty, and I received a request to find the value of your home at 7.
So because if you send the CMA, one guy said, I can get it on Zillow, I can get it, for people, it's very easy to get values today. It's nothing like out of the extraordinary. Like 30 years ago, you were the only one with the truth there. But right now, you need to find out why they want it, and then you can go more in detail. It's just a value thing that we have, and we just think that we can send them one and they're going to love us. Don't know. They can get that anywhere.
Can I ask you a question real quick? So to be 100% transparent with everybody on this Zoom call right now, I'm brand new to StreetText. I'm brand new to BombBomb. I've hustled my way through real estate forever, right? But you know, when I listen to everybody, I have some ideas. And instead of part of the drip, instead of making it all about them, I'd like feedback. What is everybody's thoughts about answering questions that you can email out to everybody about, hey, recently this week I've gotten this question from a bunch of sellers, so I thought I'd share this this answer that, you know, and see if you had the same similar questions, and send out generic answers to questions of what sellers are coming across in those drips as well. To try to open the door for more conversation and not just make it about them selling their property and hounding them, but being more informative. Has anybody done that? Is that something that, Marcus, is that something that we can leverage? Is that something that would be good as part of what we're doing with Facebook as far as that goes?
That's great. That's 100%. I mean, the templates that you have in there, the 9-month-long drip email campaign, that's just one template we came up with, but we're always open to make it better, right? And I actually encourage it. Like if you look at Wendy, if you look at Stacy Sebastian, if you look at Jessica McIntyre, which we'll be doing a webinar on the beginning of June, you can see the first 3 or 4 days are completely customized, because in the first 3 or 4 emails within the first 10 days, I highly suggest that you think about the first autoresponder and then know what you're going to send personally. So this way you can customize day 3 and day 10. If you start right there, that right in itself will be a game changer for you, right? Because then it all kind of cohesively makes sense, and it's your brand, it's your personality, it's your body language and tonality. The video part of that is such a massive play. Right. And then you're doing what you're already doing. And then even with your SMS, your AI component, don't forget that you can personally take that over to role play as Julie, your assistant, and to confirm information you've already sent, as Leon was talking about. Because once you've got that sent out and you know what you've done, and Wendy sent her screen recording CMA, I would go back to Julie right there and be like, hey, just wanted to confirm that you received from Wendy, right? As the assistant. So don't overthink this. A lot of this is actually, you know, putting the automations in place, putting your process in place, so that then you can go do what you do best, right? And that's my encouragement to all of you. And that's, you know, this is why we have the conversion training Tuesday, Thursdays now. We can open up to, like, you know, role play, and we can always open it up to phone scripts too. Like, you know, just like we're talking about today, is whatever you guys need help with. That's what we're here for.
Guys, one of the things that I did, Wendy, I did one of those, the CMA things, but I also did it I didn't do it for a new lead. I actually did it for one of my listings, and showed them how their home was performing on Zillow, on Redfin, everything else, because they were wondering, you know, why the showings were so slow. And I was showing them there was eyeballs, and I showed them the value in there. So I did that whole thing, but it was actually for a real client. And then I shared that as I just ran an ad on Facebook for $5 just for 3 days, just to see if I'd get engagement. Say, would you like a detailed home valuation like this video? And I put that video into the ad, and I got 3 leads out of it, just because they like the detail of the way we did that. So I think what you're doing there is awesome. Again, just playing around with different things, because like I said, I'm new to this stuff altogether.
It's good. It means you have no bad habits. One of the things, like I said, I see more opens now that I'm looking at Facebook and everything. So like I said, I turned on my subject line on my iPhone, and all I'm doing is putting your Facebook, you know, market evaluation or your Facebook home request. And I do a door hanger also. So what I do is, rather than, you know, really bomb on evaluation, because until you get in, you don't know what they did. So I have a door hanger, says, sorry, I missed you. My business card's on that. It goes in a plastic door hanger. I print up the tax information on their home, and then I just print up market activity around their house. So if I go on MLS and say they've had their house forever and it's not in there, I just click on neighbors and I find someone who bought recently, and I'll take that MLS number and then I just drop it in there and do a search, active pending sold. I'll even pull expires if there's not enough. And our MLS is defaulted to a 1/4 mile. So sometimes I'll maybe expand to a 1/2 mile, because nowadays you might have a brand new subdivision backed up against one that's been around since the 70s. So rather than just have something that's way out, when I drop the market activity just to show them homes are selling, the idea, and this is what Jonathan has said earlier, is if they have everything they got and need from you now, they have no reason to contact you. Give them a little nibble, make them come get a bite. So when I drop that on their door, Someone the other week had said this about how they ring the doorbell or whatever. So I'm just leaving this stuff, and I've seen a lot more opens with me using Facebook in that subject line. And you know, my words, free 99. It's crazy not to use it because you are paying for it. So why not?
Leon, one of the things I used to do back in the day when I first started in real estate, it was foreclosures, REOs, and short sales. And I used to put a post-it on the door. Hey, sorry I missed you. I'll be back tomorrow at 5 o'clock for our appointment. If you need to change it, call me. And that would be the post-it I'd leave on the door. And 9 out of 10 times, it's like, oh, no, we didn't have an appointment. I'll go, oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you had a pending pre-foreclosure, so I might have gone to the wrong house. Please. No, well, and then they open up with the questions, right? So, because I was only doing that on doors with that were pending foreclosure. So
one thing we have to remember, because you know we're so smart, we'll smart ourselves. If they've been on our site and found us, that means we were 1 of 5 or 10 or whatever. They call it surfing the net for a reason. So don't ever assume we're the only one, because that'll leave you short. So when I talk to people, I even tell them, hey, just reaching out, you're on our site earlier looking. And when I say earlier, they might be on the site months ago. They don't know. So don't time date and timestamp yourself. Just say, hey, you're on one of our real estate sites looking earlier, because you're going to get, who is this? And I'll go, hey, it's the Elfin Premier Houses team, just kind of reaching out, following back up. You're on one of our sites earlier looking at stuff, da-da-da-da. And I use Julie. Like I said, Julie gets a lot more action than I do. If Julie was a dating site, she could retire rich, because they respond to her in a much more positive manner than take my F and da-da-da-da-da. So Julie always does the handover and the passover. And I've moved her from StreetText into all my other stuff as well. So when stuff goes out and it's, hey, this is Julie from the Premier Houses team, da-da-da-da-da. And like I said, between Julie and Facebook, and I said, strongly suggest, guys, try Facebook. I've had more opens. I'm surprised at how much activity is picked up just using that in the subject line. But it's a brand name. It's branding. It's good to go. And once the idea is you want them to open what you're sending. So once they open what you're sending, game on. And from there, it's up to you to make it happen.
Is there a way for me to actually find these people on Facebook? Because I'm manually searching them. Is there an easier way, Marcus, that you guys can share that with me? Because I haven't been able to figure that out yet.
Glad you asked. I'll see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern.
Done. That's easy.
Yeah, I have a trouble with that too, especially if it's more of a common name. So
yeah, there's an advanced search. You basically do the double search, and then that means like enter, and then go to filter results and go by location. It's not 100% perfect, but it definitely is one of the better ways.
Which one is that? Which class is that tomorrow, by the way, so I can schedule it?
Conversion.
Okay.
We're 5 minutes over, so we're going to let you go. But anything that you pulled out of this, please bring back to the insider group. Let's create a discussion around it. Let's put one takeaway that we learned that we're going to bring back to the business today. And then anything that you want us to expand on for next week's mastermind as well, let us know, and we'll definitely bring that to the mastermind, and in any one of the conversion training classes. So let us know what you liked about it in the insider group. Let's create the discussion, and we'll go from there.
Thanks everyone. Good.